Andy Dalton has now re-signed with the Carolina Panthers. Per Adam Schefter, the Panthers and Andy Dalton reached an agreement on a 2-year, $8 million deal that includes $6 million guaranteed and a max value of $10 million. Panthers quarterback Bryce Young has developed a close relationship with Dalton, and now the two continue to get to work together. Dalton's going to be 39 at the end of this contract. Of course, he's 37 now. And it feels like this is like the last stop on his path to becoming a mentor and then probably a coach. I think it leaves a lot open for Dalton, who's had a lot of success in the league, led a lot of decent Bengals teams to playoff appearances. And if not for getting injured one season, he could have won an MVP. I think, Dalton's like a great, great backup and someone who has really helped facilitate Bryce Young's development. You have to remember, after the first year of Bryce Young, people were ready to completely write him off, to say that he was an absolute bust and that he could never live up to being the number one overall pick in the draft. However, I think that the back half of last season, after, of course, he started off poorly, when he was benched, he got to learn behind Andy Dalton, who was starting, and then he came back. He played a lot better, and I really do believe in Bryce Young as the future of the Carolina Panthers and that he should have a bright future under the tutelage of Andy Dalton. And I think this makes sense from Andy Dalton's perspective because, look, Andy Dalton is near the end of his career. He's not going to be signing with anybody to be a starter. I know, some people put out perhaps the Raiders. He could start there, but, let's be realistic. He's 37 years old. He has lost a bit of a step. What he brings to a team now is experience and the leadership he can bring through the learned experiences he's had. I think he's a great teacher for Bryce Young. Like I said, he's been able to help Bryce Young develop in a pretty big way in this one season these are other 2 seasons under him. And I think that this was just a smart, savvy move for the Carolina Panthers, a team that's not been accused of being smart and savvy really for the last few years. I mean, ever since they've got a new owner, and obviously the old owner had his own issues. Ever since they got a new owner, they've been very quick to fire head coaches, to give up on players. Baker Mayfield went there and he was given up on pretty quickly. Sam Darnold, same thing there. I think because of those struggles, because of those potentially bad decisions that were made in the past, they're kind of look, they've learned from them. You learn from mistakes, right? And I think this is a great call. What does this do for the free agency market this season? I mean, Sam Darnold, huge winner of Andy Dalton re-signing. He is someone who I think will probably be a free agent. I don't see the Vikings bringing him back. Of course, I could be wrong. I didn't see the Panthers necessarily immediately bringing Andy Dalton back either. I thought he'd want to survey the land, as it were. But I think, big winner, Andy Dalton here, perhaps Derek Carr, should he get released from the Saints. So it should be interesting to see the kind of ripple effects that this causes. And, I feel like North Carolina is not a terrible place to play out your final years and maybe transition into coaching. I mean, from what I hear, great weather, great beaches. And, after being in Ohio for the majority of his career, I'm sure living in a place like North Carolina is very, very appealing to a player like Andy Dalton. So, if you're a Panthers fan, what do you think of the Panthers re-signing Andy Dalton? Are you a fan of it? How much influence do you think he's had on Bryce Young? And do you agree with me? Do you think that he's been able to help Bryce Young become a better player? And do you think, as I think, that he is well positioned to transition to being a quarterback's coach or, someone involved in a coaching role after these 2 years are up? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments.